Chapter 11 of The Calling by Elsie Pye. Jules. I hadn't learned much in the past 2 days. There were still only 10 of us that had been taken from different villages. I tried to figure out if anyone belonged to the same village when they released us in the evenings, but fear prevented the women from conversing with me. They would hardly lift their heads or make a noise. Everything had changed after that horrific and endless night. The girl's screams would haunt us all forever. She was put back in the wagon the next morning, but from the sound when they dumped her, it was obvious she wasn't conscious. That evening, when they briefly let us out, I could see the bruising covering her swollen red face. Her lip was split down the middle, and she was favoring her right side, so she must have had a few broken ribs. The sight of her injuries frightened the others, but all it did was increase the raging fire inside of me for revenge. There were 7 total kidnappers that I had been able to count. From the brief moments I studied them, they appeared to be orderly for a bunch of outlaws. It seemed as if they had done this before, or at least they had been trained for this. They were smart and kept their distance, so we couldn't learn much about them. If I had to guess, I would say they were professionals and knew exactly what they were doing. An abrupt stop sent me flying into the girl next to me. She released a muffled cry along with many others. I knew that would come next, but no matter what, when those 2 hands grabbed me, I couldn't stop myself from tensing up, preparing for the impact. "Make line," a man who was uncovering our heads ordered. I tried to find something that would give me a clue as to who they were and why they had kidnapped us. They obviously had a plan for us, because if they wanted to kill us, or worse, abuse us, then they would have already done so. The man was new. I hadn't seen him up close before. He was burly and extremely dirty. They all were. But what stood out to me was the sword on his hip. They all carried weapons, but their weapons weren't fancy or anything special. They were weapons you would expect outlaws to have, but his sword was not common or rusted. It shined brightly against the light of the moon. When he moved down the line, I could see the hilt had small, intricate designs that seemed to be outlined in gold. It was not a sword a common outlaw would have. It would belong to someone important, so either he had stolen it or he wasn't actually a lowlife. "Stop it! You're hurting me!" My attention went to the girl who cried out. It was Suze. Her large eyes were wild with fear. The man with his fancy sword had lifted her off the ground. I pulled against my restraints, wanting to help her somehow. "I think I need to teach you how to control that mouth of yours," he threatened. "I didn't do anything," Suze pleaded. His grip tightened around her arms. She whimpered. I inched closer, determined to do something. No other captors were close. They were all near the fire. I could most likely take him, but the commotion would draw the others over here, and I feared too much that they might punish more than just me. Not knowing what else to do, I opened my mouth. "Runner!" I hollered in a deep voice. The captors holding onto Suze released his grip, dropping her in a pile on the ground. His menace focused on me. As he stomped closer to where I stood, I tensed, ready to receive a blow. "Sal, what's going on?" A breathless man stepped between me and the man whose eyes were filled with murder. This little one cried out the false alarm. I was about to teach her not to involve herself in my business. Sal pushed past the younger captor to stand mere inches from my face. I bit my tongue, not allowing myself to cower. "Stop!" A hand came across Sal's chest, preventing him from getting any closer. "The captain is already going to have your head for what you did to the other one." "Don't worry, I won't touch her face. The captain will never know." I looked to the younger captor, mulling over Sal's words. My legs started to quiver as I thought of him letting Sal have his way with me. Multiple sets of footsteps drew our attention toward the fire. 3 other captors were making their way over. "It's not worth it," the younger captor whispered. Sal stared into my eyes, promising vengeance before he took a step back and marched toward the group of 3. The lump in my throat shrank a little, but I still had no idea if I was in the clear. Sal's voice bellowed, but I couldn't hear what he was talking about. To the group, one of them pointed to the fire, and Sal reluctantly followed them back toward the camp. I released my breath as the young captor gave me an indifferent look. Before walking over to finish uncovering everyone else, they didn't give us any food before throwing us back into the wagon. It was probably punishment for what I did, but I didn't regret it. I hoped others wouldn't be too upset with me, especially not when I finally had a solid plan to escape. I replayed everything that happened, their reactions, and the exact words they exchanged. It didn't take long before my mind wandered to home, wondering what my family would be doing, wondering if they would still be searching for me, or if they had just given up already. Would they know that I had been kidnapped? And what about Talls? I missed her calling ceremony. I wondered if she went through with choosing the hunters, or if she decided to choose another, because I was missing. I pressed my back against the side of the wagon, fearing for Talls, and how she would survive in Gasmere without me. I had always protected her from those in Gasmere who treated her differently because she was different. We were more than best friends. We were sisters. I would do anything for her. That night, a glimmer of hope took root in my heart. I had a plan to escape, to save all these women. I would get back to my family and Talls.